Hello, welcome to TCT On the Road. I'm so happy to be here in Cleveland, Ohio, and this is our first location making our way around Northeast Ohio to show you some great places. And we're here at the Cleveland Museum of Art, and I'm here with Dale, and you're going to show us around and tell us about the museum and kind of the area it's located in.
Well, this is University Circle, as you know. It is home to all sorts of institutions of higher learning, Cleveland Orchestra, universities. It's just a wonderful place to be. And of course, it's home to the Cleveland Museum of Art.
Well, you were telling us about the building, and when I look around, the building itself looks like a piece of art, and then it has a ton of exhibits around here. Tell us about some of what we're going to see.
Well, the building itself, which is exquisite, was built and open to the public in 1916.
Wow.
And what we have today to show you are some highlights of the collection. You're standing in the Armor Court here, and this is one of the most popular places in Cleveland for people to come. A lot of field trips take place here with school groups, and a lot of adults in town remember the first time they saw the Armor Court. So we're going to start here, talk about one of the most exquisite examples of armor, and then we're going to look at a mummy case later on and some very fine paintings of the 19th century.
All right, well, I'm excited to take a look around. Let's go.
So we're here in the Armor Court, as you know, and we're looking at the Val's Colonna field armor for man and horse. This is the original. It is from 1575. As you're well aware, knights and other soldiers who were of a certain social status really used their horses not only as a means of transportation, but as part of their weaponry. Therefore, the horse had to be protected just as the knight. By looking at this piece, you can learn something about the evolution of armor. For example, as you see the horse's neck, it's protected by chainmail. That was an earlier form of armor, very, very flexible, that would accommodate the natural movements of the horse. The man himself has armor that's part of a set. You can see it has the same bands of beautiful engraving. It's jointed, as the horse's armor is also jointed, and it provides a beautiful ensemble that was both fashionable and protective. This is one of the most spectacular paintings at the Cleveland Museum of Art. It's Frederick Edwin Church's Twilight in the Wilderness, done in 1860, the eve of the Civil War. People for decades have thrilled to the technicolor, seemingly, background of these sun-shot clouds. Church went on a sketching trip to Mount Katahdin in Maine, worked exhaustively, and then came back to his studio in New York City and put the details together, consulted his notes on colors, and came up with this magnificent canvas. He was so popular in the 19th century that when it was time for him to show new works, he would rent a studio and people would come to visit. It would be an exclusive show, not with other artists, and the lines stretched out the door. Claude Monet worked on his water lilies from 1919 to 1926. It was part of a multi-panel series that was meant to engulf the viewer in a sense of being outside in nature. In this expansive painting, we see the reflections of the sky, we see the surface of the pond, and we even see aquatic plants underneath. It's one of several panels that are dispersed in museums around the country and elsewhere. There's one in St. Louis and also one in Kansas City. The coffin of Neshi Khonsu tells us so much about ancient Egyptian life. This 3,000-year-old mummy case has details of the funeral of a very elite woman in ancient Egypt whose name was Neshi Khonsu. As we look at the different bands of decorations called registers, we see rituals concerning her funeral. The one that is particularly informative is one that shows a little kneeling figure who's actually mourning the death of Neshi Khonsu. We know she's mourning because there is a dark tear rolling down her cheek. As with so many ancient Egyptians, she wore charcoal outlining her eyes to reduce sun glare, and when she cried, the mascara ran. Beaded stools like this one exemplify the extraordinary craftsmanship of many groups in Africa. This one is called the leopard caryatid stool. Caryatid is an art history term that refers to a shaped figural support, such as this little leopard. This stool was called a traveling stool. It was made in the 1800s in the Cameroons, and it belonged to a ruler who showed his prestige and his great wealth with magnificent pieces of art such as this. It was used in palace rituals, and we are delighted to have it here today for people to admire.
Well, we're finished up here at the Cleveland Museum of Art, and as you can see, the building and everything they have outside, the statue of the thinker back here is just as beautiful and impressive as all the stuff they have inside. And we really only got to show you a small piece of everything they have here. In fact, the Cleveland Museum of Art is listed as the #1 cultural attraction in the greater Cleveland area on TripAdvisor. So if you're here in the area or plan to visit, you want to come check this place out. And there's lots of other great things to do and see here in Northeast Ohio. So we're going to go check out some more, and you can see them on the next episode of On the Road.